Hi, everyone. That was really thought-provoking. Thank you, Kevin. That was really interesting. I'd love to discuss more about the future of retail because it's really an interesting topic. My topic today is to take you through what has been going on for the last 3 years within Time Inc. UK. Time Inc., formerly known as IPC Media, and I'll introduce them quickly later on. But first things first, quick words about myself. I come from a varied background around different businesses. I started in the music industry, which was definitely one that was disrupted, and that happened in my time there with Napster, if some of you remember that. And then moved to different catalog businesses, actually. So that's also my background, having worked with book publishers and magazine publishers, but also with fashion catalogs and fashion retailers, especially recently in the UK and France. And then also electronics catalogs and so, also B2B. So catalog world, retail world is where I come from, but actually what I consider my job to be is a sort of mix between three things: content, marketing, and tech. That's always been my job for the last 25 years, is to sort of go into business and manage something that is around change and digital change in particular. Time Inc. In the UK is the leading magazines publisher. So as I said, formerly known as IPC Media. And if you look at it as a magazine publisher, actually what the business does is, consider themselves a consumer multi-platform publisher. Leading or second place in many of the metrics that you can see here, but roughly reaching out to half of the UK population every week. Some of the brands that you probably are familiar with, a lot of brands in lifestyle, homes, sports. These are the UK brands, but in the US, the famous one is Sports Illustrated. And obviously in style for fashion, but you see here a very varied landscape of brands and actually more than just brands. So why did I call my keynote growth through self-disruption? I mean, this doesn't look like a growth curve, obviously. This is more of the reality check of magazines, publishers, and advertising revenues being one of the core source of revenues. Obviously, you have newsstand revenues, which is the biggest revenue source for Time Inc. Then second comes advertising, and third, subscriptions. But when it comes to, the curves are more or less the same when you talk about subscriptions or even retail sales. So, this has been going on for 8-9 years. You're talking about a decrease, a fall in revenues of roughly, 5 to 8% a year. So there's no way this can be reversed. This is how customers behave. This is, what they want to engage with. So the magazines are not that popular anymore, even though, retail sales are still standing, and I would say subscriptions is doing rather well. We're failing better than others, but still, this is the way history goes. So there's no do-nothing situation or possibility for our business. What do you do when your business is declining? Is either you get disrupted by someone, or you try something different, to your point, Kevin. Try something different, out of the box. Try something, otherwise anyway you're going to be out of business in a few years. So what Time Inc. has been doing in the last 3 years is actually twofold. Is the drive for growth, and I'll talk about this in particular, but simultaneously search for efficiency. Talking about a business that has been living on a trend of luxury for a while. And what I've seen happen in the last couple of years in the business was amazing. It's like, moving from people having an office to hot desking for everyone, including the CEO, reducing office space, moving out of central London. Cost reduction that was really significant. And I was tasked with restructuring marketing, reducing costs by 30% in a year, which is a very hefty task, but it's a necessary evil. And the search for efficiency is absolutely vital for a business to start and grow again. But then growth. Yes, magazines are not selling that well anymore. So what can we do about it? Well, maybe we should look at our business in a different way. Maybe we should think of ourselves in a different way so that we sort of think, what would we do if we were to disrupt ourselves? What would we do if we were to change the way we look at our business and think, really what do we stand for? And what we stand for is not necessarily just magazine publishing, it's storytelling. And when you look at your business as a magazine publisher and say, well, we're storytellers, then obviously the opportunities and the ways you can tell stories are is an open market, really. So we distribute stories, we monetize stories, but we're thinking maybe we should monetize our stories in new ways. And commerce is one of them. Events is another one. And then it's about how do we enhance the experience? That experience of storytelling that has been there for ages, centuries, forever. Storytelling is the oldest thing that you can think of when you talk about content. And it's about text, video, pictures, events. There's many ways you can tell stories. So this is now the way we look at our business is we're storytellers. What can we do now as a storyteller to grow? And when you look at the different touch points that a customer will use in their journey to consume their passion point, because really at the end of the day, it's all about passion points and addressing them in the best way possible. What we do now is engage with, as a magazines business, what we do really well is engage with people, is ignite their passion points and give them, advice, content that is really valuable for them. But actually, we miss out on quite a few touch points. And we're thinking we're capturing a lot of data around engagement, what people read, what they search for. We have nothing about what they transact with, what they purchase. So that's the starting point. We are thinking of ourselves as a business of storytelling, but also, I guess the end game is data, and it's about capturing more data so that we can be more targeted. There's a lot of thoughts and acquisitions going on around programmatic advertising, leveraging all the data that we have. A lot of insights come out of Time Inc. as well to help advertisers be more focused, be more accurate with who they want to target. But as a business and as a retailer myself, I thought, magazines don't capture any transactions. They send traffic to Amazon, they send traffic to whoever is an affiliate partner, and they capture 4% of sales. That's ridiculous. You want to do more than that. And so the journey is really about interrogating the ecosystems that we're in. And with ecosystems, we're thinking, passion points. I've drawn a few here, like cycling with Cycling Weekly, equestrian with Horse and Hound, wine with Decanter, knitting with Women's Weekly, and to name just a few. And then when you look at the ecosystem and you think, cycling, for instance, in the UK alone is a business of 3.8 billion sterling. We capture maybe 4%, and I'm talking the whole publishing industry captures 4% of that. There's more to do in that space. So the real questions we need to ask ourselves, and we thought we'd ask ourselves, is what do customers do and want when they consume their passion points? And it's fair to say, actually, that when you're passionate, and I'm sure all of you have a passion point, you realize people spend a disproportionate amount of their disposable income into their passion point. Cycling again. Would you guess how much a keen cyclist spends every year on their passion? Anyone? $4,000. Spot on. That's exactly it. $4,000. You must be a cyclist. Or I've heard my story before. But that's a really good, it's a brilliant guess. It's £4,000. So it's a niche market, but it's a significant niche market. Craft, £3 billion. Equestrian, $3 billion. All of these passion points have a serious business attached when you think about it. So we thought, what do customers do and want? Where are we strong and credible? And we defined, the ecosystems where we believe we're strong enough to play and to do more. We're licensed to do more because people trust us as brands. Cycling Weekly has been there for 130 years. Women's Weekly is the 5th best-selling magazine in the UK, and so forth. And then what's the size and the price and the ROI? Simple questions, like the type of questions you'd ask yourself if you create a startup and want to disrupt someone. So that's where we start from. And we agreed that we'd look into, specialist equipment, buying and selling, obviously e-commerce, and that's my particular role right now, is look into M&A and e-commerce and businesses that we can acquire in that space, even maybe catalog businesses, why not? And then events, and we've done a few acquisitions around events. It's a very natural move from magazines to events, and we found out that actually some events businesses that we'd partnered with are very good acquisition targets, and we had them join us. Experiences, part of events, but then we also acquired an experiential agency called Invent that is now working with brands that advertise with us and create events based on the content that we have. Same goes with other areas like learning, self-improvement, and video and other media, because obviously we don't want to stick to print magazines. Content is available on all kind of formats. So, and communities, and I'll come to an example around communities and membership, is also a natural extension of what magazines do well, is subscriptions. So why not create communities, as we call them, or membership programs where you can subscribe to a magazine or be a member of a magazine and then have access to events, have access to stores. That's, again, all about what customers want and do with their passion points. A couple of examples to illustrate that. UKCE, UK Cycling Events, was acquired a year and a half ago, and now is sat with Cycling Weekly. They run up to 80 events a year in the UK, and that's cycling events, and now quite a few of them are branded Cycling Weekly events. ICHF, same thing, events business around craft, all things to do with craft, and now partnering with all our home styles and Women's Weekly and the others. And actually there's a side benefit of doing that, because it's about also creating businesses where 1 + 1 = 3 rather than 2. It's about identifying mutual beneficial. You can sell subscriptions to Cycling Weekly on an event. You can obviously promote the event in Cycling Weekly. It's a very natural growth area. Homegrown initiatives. This one is called Equo, powered by Horse and Hound. And we've identified that in the equestrian market in the UK is very fragmented. So what can we do about it? We created this marketplace which brings together riders and organizers of shows, and hopefully having this kind of a sort of Eventbrite for equestrian is going to make sense to the business. It's powered by a brand that people trust, that people know, that riders know, and organizers know. And hopefully we can capture a lot of data with that as well, about your horse, but also about the events and the scores. And so it's really being part of that ecosystem, even more so. A recent one is Powder by Marie Claire. Marie Claire, we have the license in the UK, it's a French brand, and it's a beauty box. So that's again, it's about, what can we do well in different spaces in adjacent markets based on the fact that we're very knowledgeable about any vertical that we're talking to. And this is about premium beauty products. There's a website where you can define your skin type and your preferences, and you get a personalized beauty box with luxury items worth £130, and you get it for something like 30 or 25 pounds. So that, again, based on the very good relationships we have with those brands, L'Oréal and the others, based on the fact that we can scale those businesses through our magazines and push them through available inventory that we have in our online and magazines publications. The interesting one is Fable. This is a partnership. Again, you know what you do well, you know what you're not necessarily doing that well, and we acknowledge that actually e-commerce is a very specific space that we would struggle to reinvent. So we partner with Ocado, which is a sort of best-in-class e-commerce player in the UK, and decided we'd be their beauty products corner called Fable. Fable is also a store in central London, because if you want to sell beauty products online, you have to have a store. That's how it works. But it's a different store. It's a store with Marie Claire in it. So it's a store that has also this element of inspiration, of, the editors are curating some products that are specific. It's all about content as well in the store, which is an interesting concept, to be honest. So it's more than just your normal store. You go there, you talk to people, you have advice from people who are also part of the magazine business, so they're trusted. And the latest one is the Knitting Network. And the Knitting Network is, stems from Women's Weekly. We've been selling patterns in the magazines for ages, and we thought, well, why just sell patterns? We could sell more. So we found out that there's a family business in Kent that's doing really well on selling yarns and needles. They operate 70% on Amazon, so they're pretty good at curating products, inventory management. They have their stock. They deal with all the difficult things. And actually, we partnered with them and we created this marketplace where we curate some of their products and that match the patterns, the knitting patterns that we have, and therefore can sell a sort of a more complete proposition. So this is a proof of concept shop. It doesn't require, again, loads of investments. When I joined, they were trying to sort out whether they should use Hybris or IBM. I said, no. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to sell millions on there. Don't do that. It's never going to be profitable with these kind of solutions, to your point. You don't want to feed a vendor for the sake of having the best-in-class solution. You do a proof of concept, you go on Shopify. It's $50 a month. It's a no-brainer. And that's exactly what we did. And therefore, if this is successful, maybe we can scale it and then come up with a different size solution. But again, you have to be fit for purpose. And I'm not saying this is going to work. I mean, I've seen in the news, and you all have seen in the news, that Style.com is just folded, and that's a very sad story. But their ambition was very different. Are you familiar with Style.com? It's Condé Nast's initiative around e-commerce. It was a massive initiative. They had, billions, millions, tens of millions invested in there, and they wanted to do another Net-a-Porter. Well, they failed. Now they're partnering with Farfetch. Fair enough. But actually, they tried something too, and I'm grateful for them doing that. We're trying in a different scale, and again, it's okay to fail. It's like, if you're trying to be a disruptor, you have to be, able to fail as well. Hopefully, some of those initiatives will work out, and we'll see that magazines can definitely work and evolve in new spaces. But it's a very exciting journey, and I'm very fortunate to be part of it. Happy to share more thoughts with you, but that's it for me. Thank you very much.